like looking at Houston, if Houston was going to say, we'll take Jaylen and Jrue and we'll give you VanVleet back and Jabari and Eason and we'll give you the 10th pick and, you'll save like $20 million. We can make it work with our cap. And that gets you under the second apron right there and gets you a rebuild. I think they would have to think about deals like that. And then if you're Houston and you can get Jaylen and Jrue in the same trade and give up assets, but not touch Thompson and not touch Şengün and, keep enough going. That's the type of trade.
Not a great plan.
Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP, two-way beast, Celtics cornerstone, gets shipped out along with Jrue Holiday for Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, and the 10th pick in the 2025 NBA draft. At first glance, it felt like Bill Simmons was trolling. But when you look closer, this trade idea might be more than just shock value. It might be the exact pressure point where two franchises, one fighting for cap space, the other clawing toward contention, collide at the perfect moment. Because underneath the headlines and the Twitter takes, this deal touches something bigger, the NBA's new financial reality, the brutal logic of roster building, and the price of holding on to your stars for too long. And to understand why Simmons thinks the Celtics should pull the plug on Jaylen Brown and Jrue Holiday, we gotta dig into what's really going on in Boston.
Give it up, Holiday the steal. 3-on-1. Jaylen Brown.
Boston's championship hangover. Boston finally got over the hump, a championship parade down Boylston Street, duck boats, confetti, and a core that felt untouchable. Tatum, Brown, Holiday, Porzingis, White, Horford, depth, defense, dominance. But beneath the champagne glow, trouble was brewing. By the time the offseason hit, Boston's books were bloated. Nearly $227.8 million in payroll. That's not just luxury tax territory, that's second apron territory.
Okay, you keep running you keep putting my business out there. You keep putting my business out there.
With the team projected to be nearly $20 million over the second luxury tax apron. The kind of cap inflexibility that turns title teams into stuck ships. And then came the injuries. Jason Tatum, torn Achilles. His father expects an 8 to 9 month recovery, suggesting a potential return mid-season, but the uncertainty looms large. Jaylen Brown, playing through a partially torn meniscus. Holiday, on the wrong side of 34 with his production dipping slightly. Suddenly, the championship core was looking fragile, expensive, risky. So when Bill Simmons floated the idea of trading Brown and Holiday to Houston for Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, the 10th pick in the draft, it wasn't just a wild podcast take. It was a siren. And what happens next might completely reshape how the Celtics operate for years to come. But first, why Houston? Houston's all-in moment. Let's rewind. The Houston Rockets just came off a 52-win season. That's right. After years of tanking, rebuilding, and getting laughed at for the James Harden fallout, the Rockets are suddenly knocking on the door. They've got talent. Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, and Reed Shepherd, last year's number 3 pick, make for one of the most electric young cores in the league. But they're still missing that guy. The alpha, the killer, the two-way star who turns good teams into nightmares. Jaylen Brown.
If you're on that side, just stay on that side. That's all I gotta say.
And with him, Jrue Holiday. Defensive genius, playoff tested, the kind of veteran voice that young locker rooms crave. Houston's got the cap space. With a current payroll of around $120 million, they have room to absorb Brown's $53.1 million and Holiday's $35.4 million cap. Hits for the 2025-26 season, increasing their payroll to approximately $205.5 million. They've got the assets, and they've got the motive. They're tired of waiting, tired of developing, tired of being next. The Rockets want to win now. But if this deal is so good for Houston, why would Boston even consider it? The case for Boston hitting reset. It comes down to math and timing. Jaylen Brown's extension, $285.4 million over 5 years. His cap hit next season alone is $53.1 million. Holiday's is $35.4 million for 2025-26, part of a 4-year, $135 million deal. That's $88.5 million for 2 players, one of whom is already battling wear and tear, and the other pushing into his mid-30s. Now imagine flipping those contracts for Fred VanVleet, still a capable point guard and locker room leader with a 2025-26 cap hit of $42.8 million. Jabari Smith Jr., a 21-year-old two-way forward with serious upside, at $9.2 million. Tari Eason, an energy guy with real defensive chops, at $4.3 million. And a top 10 pick in a deep draft, Boston would slash nearly $30 million off their payroll. That's not just savings, that's survival. It could get them under the second apron, opening doors they've basically slammed shut under the new CBA. The trade would also save approximately $43.8 million in luxury tax penalties, assuming a rate of $1.50 per dollar over the apron. And while it hurts to lose Brown and Holiday, the logic is brutal but fair. With Tatum hurt and the cap squeezing hard, do you hold on to the core and pray, or pivot while you still have leverage? This could be Boston's only off-ramp. And we haven't even gotten into how Brown's value might be peaking right now. But it's not the only option. The Celtics could also consider trading Derek White with a 2025-26 cap hit of $30.2 million, or Kristaps Porzingis at $30.7 million, to achieve similar financial relief without sacrificing Brown. Superstar or time bomb. Let's be clear, Jaylen Brown is elite. In 2025, he averaged 23 points, nearly 6 boards, shot nearly 50% from the field, and was a key contributor to the Celtics' championship run.
Out there, Star. Showing up. Cornet!
While he did not win the Finals MVP, his performance was crucial to their success. But zoom out. He's 28. He's had a history of knee problems. He plays a physically demanding style. And most alarmingly, his $53 million annual salary escalates every year. What if this is the peak? What if the knees don't hold up? What if Tatum's injury derails their shot to compete and Brown's value decreases before they get a chance to trade him? That's the quiet fear behind the Simmons proposal. The idea isn't just that they should trade Brown, it's that they have to before the rest of the league catches up to the medical file. It's the same reason Toronto moved off of DeMar DeRozan before he hit decline, or why OKC got ahead of the curve on Paul George. You can love the player and still move him at the right time. And if the Celtics want a real return, this might be their last best chance. But the Rockets aren't stupid. They know there's risk too, especially with Brown's meniscus tear and Holiday's age. Houston's gamble. For all the potential upside, Houston's side of this deal is a gamble. They're giving up Jabari Smith Jr., a 6'10 shooter defender who hasn't hit his ceiling yet. Tari Eason, a modern wing with hustle, toughness, and the numbers to back it. And a top 10 pick, which in 2025 could be gold. That's a lot, especially when you're taking back two guys whose best days might already be behind them. Brown has meniscus issues, Holiday's production dipped last season, and neither one guarantees a title push in a loaded Western Conference. But here's the thing, Houston has too much young talent. There's a real chance they end up like OKC, loaded with assets, but always one piece away. Sometimes you consolidate, you cash in. And for the Rockets, Brown could be the bridge from promising to dangerous, from fun to feared. The question is, how long does that window stay open? And how much does this trade shorten their long-term flexibility? The Rockets also hold multiple future draft picks, which could be used to replenish their roster if Brown and Holiday do not meet expectations. The league-wide domino effect. This isn't just a Celtics-Rockets thing. This trade proposal opens up a much bigger conversation around how teams operate in the NBA's post-Apron era. The new CBA has punished the old super team model. Teams like the Celtics, Warriors, and Clippers are now suffocating under the weight of their own ambition. If Boston pulls the trigger and trades Brown for flexibility, it could set off a chain reaction. Other contenders may start moving off high-salary stars earlier, but the extent of this influence depends on individual team circumstances. The value of rookie contracts and draft picks might soar as teams prioritize flexibility over star power. The two-star model could become the new blueprint, but it's not a universal solution given varying roster needs. And even if this specific trade doesn't happen, the ripple effect of Simmons' idea is already out there. GMs are watching, agents are talking, front offices are calculating, The trade could also affect free agency, as the Celtics would gain flexibility to sign players under the second apron, potentially altering the market for mid-tier talent. And somewhere in the middle of it all, the Celtics and Rockets are staring at each other across the table, waiting to see who blinks first. No turning back. So does the trade happen? Maybe, maybe not. But it doesn't really matter. Because the Bill Simmons proposal did something bigger than just spark debate. It cracked open the reality that even all-stars and championship rosters aren't safe anymore. Not when the cap is this tight. Not when stars are this expensive. Not when the league punishes success with luxury tax hammers. For Boston, the choice is brutal. Ride or reset. They could hold on to Brown and Holiday, hoping Tatum returns and the team competes, or pivot to a partial reset, leveraging other high-salary players like White or Porzingis. For Houston, it's bold. Push the chips in or stay the course. Their young core and future draft picks provide flexibility, making this trade a calculated gamble rather than a necessity. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure. This isn't just a trade idea, it's a mirror, showing us how the NBA really works behind the scenes, though its feasibility remains uncertain given both teams' strategic priorities.